Okay, so we are on page 4, finishing our vocabulary, page 4. So we need to do vertical angles. It says vertical angles are two angles directly across from each other on intersecting lines. So if I have this line and this line, I have two intersecting lines. I have angle 1, 2, 3, and 4. What do you think? I have two pairs of vertical angles here. What are my two pairs of vertical angles? What's one pair first? 1 and what? 3. Very good. So angle 1 and angle 3. And then, because they are two intersecting lines, and they are the angles opposite each other. Okay? What else? What's my other pair of vertical angles? Angle 2 and angle 4. Again, my two lines are intersecting. Angle 2 and 4 are opposite each other. So those are what vertical angles are. Okay? Complementary angles. You had this on your maze from last class. Okay? Complementary angles are two angles with measures that sum to 90 degrees. They do not always have to be adjacent. Okay? But so if I have an angle like this, that's broken up into two angles. This is 55 degrees and this is 35 degrees. The two angles together sum is what? 90. And you can draw the little box in the corner to show a 90-degree angle. So those are complementary. Okay? Guys, I will tell you, up until last year was the first year I ever taught geometry. Up until last year, I could not keep straight which one's complementary and which one's supplementary. Okay, complementary is 90 degrees. Supplementary is 180 degrees. A teacher told me a way to remember it is compliments are always right. It's always right to give someone a compliment, right? Isn't it a good thing to give people a compliment? So compliments are always right. So complementary angles are always right angles or 90-degree angles. Okay? So that's a way that you can help remember complementary means 90 degrees. Okay? Because it's not super hard if you just remember the vocabulary word complementary means 90 degrees. Okay? So supplementary means the sum of the angles is 180. So if I have an angle like this, which is 120 degrees, and then if I have an angle like this, which is 60 degrees, if I add these two angles together, what do I get? 180. That means that those two angles are supplementary. Okay? Again, they don't have to be adjacent. Are these two angles adjacent? No, remember, what does it mean to be an adjacent angle? You can read.
Two angles that share one side.
So they're right next to each other. Same vertex, and they share one side. These don't have the same vertex. They're in different spots. So that's why they're not adjacent angles. Okay? And then a linear pair. A linear pair is adjacent angles that are supplementary. Combined, they form a straight line. So even though we didn't know this vocabulary word, we've been dealing with a lot of linear pairs. So if this is 70 degrees and this is 110 degrees, these two angles are a linear pair because you add the two angles together and you get 180. What makes supplementary angles different from a linear pair? Linear pair, they have to be adjacent. So the two angles must be touching. Okay? Supplementary, they don't necessarily need to be touching. Could I call these two angles supplementary? Yeah, because do they have a sum of 180 degrees? Yes. Can I also call these two angles a linear pair? Yes, because they're adjacent and they make a straight line. Can I call these two angles supplementary? Yes, because the sum is 180. Can I call these two angles a linear pair? No, because they're not adjacent angles. Okay? So all linear pairs are supplementary. But not all supplementary angles are considered a linear pair. Okay? We good with that? We good with our vocabulary?
Yes.
Remember, on your test, you have the first, not your test, your first 15 problems are vocabulary. Your first 15 problems are vocabulary, okay? Make sure you know your vocabulary. So now we are going to what page? Page 15. Looking at angle relationships. Okay, so let's start with our adjacent angles, because we did that last class. So adjacent angles are two angles that are next to each other and share a common side. So an example of this would be those two angles. Angle 1 and angle 2 are said to be adjacent angles because they have the same vertex and they share a side. So basically two angles that are touching each other with the same vertex. Are we good with what an adjacent angle is? Okay, then let's go to complementary angles. Complementary angles are two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. So if I have like 50 degrees and 40 degrees, those would be complementary angles because I add the two together and it's 90 degrees. Do the two angles always have to be touching? Do they have to be adjacent angles? Could I make it like this? Are these two angles complementary? Yes, because the sum is 90. Complementary angles don't have to be adjacent angles. Okay? Supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are just two angles whose sum is 180 degrees. So if I have like 135 degrees, and then if I have 45 degrees. Again, do those need to be adjacent angles? No. Can they be adjacent angles? Yes. Any angles whose sum is 180 is supplementary, are supplementary angles. Okay? Then we have our linear pair. Your linear pair are two angles that are adjacent and supplementary. So if we combine these two, we get a linear pair. So it forms a straight line. So if I have 135 degrees and then 45 degrees. They are adjacent angles because they both have the same vertex right here, and they share a side, and the sum is 180. So that's why those are a linear pair. Okay, then our vertical angles, two intersecting lines. Okay. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. We didn't say that before. Vertical angles are congruent to each other. So angle 1 and angle 3 are congruent because they are vertical angles. Angle 2 is congruent to angle 4 because they are vertical angles. Two intersecting lines, the angles opposite each other are called vertical angles, and all vertical angles are congruent. Good? Okay, you're going to have part of your test, some questions on your test are going to look like the next page. Okay. where it said check all that applies. Okay? You can check more than one box for each picture. Okay, so angle 1 and 2, what are those considered? Angle 1 and 2, they have the same vertex, but do they share a side? No, because the two sides for angle 2 are right here, which are not the same two sides as angle 1. So they're not adjacent. They're vertical because they're intersecting lines, angles opposite each other. Okay? So they're not adjacent. Do I know the measurement of them? So can I say they're complementary or supplementary? No, I don't know what the measure is. I don't know if it equals 90. I don't know if it equals 180. They could be, but I don't know, so I can't check those boxes. Linear pair. In order to be a linear pair, you have to be adjacent, right? So can I check the linear pair box? No. Okay. What about these two? Are they angles that touch each other and have the same vertex? Yes, they have the vertex right there and they share a side. So they can be adjacent. They are adjacent. Are they vertical angles? No, you never can be vertical and adjacent. Okay, it's an either or. Okay, because you can't be two angles touching each other and also two angles opposite sides. Okay. Are they complementary? Complementary, remember, is right. Do these two add together to give you 90 degrees or a right angle? No, so not complementary. Are they supplementary? Yes, because if I add them together, it's, how do I know if I add them together it's 180? Because it makes a straight line. Well, if you're adjacent and supplementary, then that means that you are a linear pair. Okay. Let's look at number 5. What are these two angles? Are they adjacent or vertical? They are vertical. They're not adjacent. Okay, this is where we're kind of tricky. Okay? If this is a 90-degree angle, what is this total angle right here? Also a 90-degree angle, right? Because it makes a line. So if this is 90, this angle needs to also be 90. And we're cutting it in half, right? Because that's what these dash marks mean. So both of these are 45 degrees. Are we okay with that? And vertical angles are congruent, equal. So if angle 1's 45, what's angle 2? 45. So now if I add angle 1 and 2, what do I get? 90. So angle 1 and 2 are also complementary. That one was kind of tricky. You see how we had to use a bunch of information to fill in our angles? Yes, no, yes. We good? Okay, number 2. Angle 1 and 2. They're adjacent. They have the same vertex and they share a side. They are adjacent. If they're adjacent, they can't be vertical. Okay? What else are angles 1 and 2? They're right angles. If it's a right angle, then they are complementary. How do I know it's a right angle? Because if that's 90 degrees, then this also has to be 90 degrees because this is a line. So angles 1 and 2 add together to give you a right angle, which means they are complementary because complements are always right. So if they're complementary, can they be supplementary? No. And if they're not supplementary, can they be a linear pair? No. So that's it. Okay, what about number 4? They are adjacent. They share a vertex and they share a side. Can I figure anything out about what the degrees is? No, because I don't have a straight line anywhere. I don't have a right angle anywhere. It's not labeled. So can I say they're supplementary, complementary, or linear pair? No, none of the above. Okay, what about number 6? They're vertical. They're supplementary. Because if this is a right angle, this is a right angle. That's a right angle, that's a right angle. So if they're both right angles, that's 90 and 90, which is 180. So that means they are supplementary. If they're supplementary, they can be a linear pair. Are these a linear pair? No, because you can't be vertical and a linear pair. Linear pairs mean that they are adjacent. They're two angles touching each other, forming a line. Okay? Are we good with our classifying? Guys, you have, I think, 2 questions like this on your test. Yes, sir?
So why is it 2 a linear pair?
A linear pair has to equal 180.
Oh, so the 2 comes on 150.
Yes. Like if I didn't have this line right here, and all of this was angle 1, then they would be supplementary, not complementary, and it would be a linear pair. Okay? Kind of like this one. See how this one? Okay. We good? Okay. So now we're going to use our angle relationships to find measures. Okay? Angle measures. Okay, so what kind of angles are these? They're vertical angles, and we know vertical angles are congruent. So if this angle is 112, what's this angle? 112, so x is 112 degrees. Let's all zone back in, guys. Okay? What kind of angles are these two? They're right, but what do we call right angles? If they're broken into 2 angles. Complements are always right. Complements are always right. So these 2 added together should give me 90. So what's 90 minus 68? So x is 22 degrees. Okay, what about this one? They're supplementary. They're more specific than just supplementary. What kind of angles are these 2? They're adjacent, more specific than being just supplementary and adjacent. That makes it a linear pair. These angles are a linear pair. So how am I going to find angle x?
180 minus 180.
Which is? And these are angles, right? So all of them must have degree symbols. We're all awake, right? Okay, so those were a little straightforward. These next ones, you're going to have to use whatever we get for one answer, then get another answer. Okay? So, if I know this angle is 43, which one do we want to figure out first? Y. Okay, because they're vertical angles, right? So if this angle is 43, what's y? 43. So y equals 43 degrees. Okay? Can I figure out x? Yes, because this makes a straight angle or a linear pair. So these added together should be, so 180 minus 43 is, so this is 137. X is 137 degrees. Label it as you're going, okay? So then how can I now figure out z?
72 is
Easiest way, guys.
90.
They're what? They're vertical angles. 2 intersecting lines, angles opposite, are vertical, meaning they are congruent. So this is also 137 degrees. And then we're done. We have x, y, z. We good? Okay, let's look at number 5. Okay. What can we figure out first?
Y is vertical angle 72.
Okay, so y is opposite of 72. They are vertical angles, so that means y is 72 degrees. Guys, is there more than one order you could figure these out in?
Yeah.
Because what I actually would have done first is I would have found x, because that's a straight line. But it's not wrong to find y first, because those are vertical angles, okay? How can we find x now? That's a straight line, so 180 minus 72 is 108 degrees. And then how can I find z? 90 minus 72, because this is a right angle, because this makes a straight line, meaning these are complementary. So 90 minus 72 is 18 degrees. So this is 18 degrees. Good? Guys, you will need to know how to do this type of stuff all year long. We're going to be finding angles all year long by knowing their vertical, a linear pair, supplementary, and complementary. We need to know how to calculate our angles. This is never going away this whole year, okay? Okay, number 6, angle 1 and 2 are vertical angles. So if they're vertical angles, they are congruent. So if angle 2 is 105, what's angle 1? Angle 1 is also 105 degrees. We're going to put the measure of angle 1. Okay, angle A and B are complementary. Complement means that they are equal to what? 90, because complements are always right. So A and B equal 90 degrees. If A is 42 degrees, what's the measure of angle B? 48, because 90 minus 42 is 48 degrees. Okay. P and Q are supplementary. Supplementary means what? Equals what degree though? 180. So if the measure of angle Q is 64, how can I find the measure of angle P? Okay, so the measure of angle P is 116 degrees. So guys, we're doing pretty basic math. We're adding and subtracting. You need to know your vocabulary though, okay? Okay. Angle 1 and 2 form a linear pair. If the measure of angle 1 is 113 degrees, find the measure of angle 2. So what is my measure of angle 2, or what does it mean if they're a linear pair? Linear pair is a line making it 180. So 180 minus 113 is 67 degrees. Okay. So now we're going to use algebra. We're going to have x's, and we're going to have to calculate what x is. Okay? Just like we did last class, label what you are given. Okay? Angle PQT is 3x plus 47. Angle SQR is 6x minus 25. What kind of angles are these?
Vertical.
So if they're vertical angles, that means they are equal. So what can I do with these two? Set them equal. So 3x plus 47 equals 6x minus 25. I always move my x's to the left. So I'm going to subtract 6x, and then subtract 47. So I get negative 3x equals negative 72. Good with that? And then divide by negative 3. And we get x is 24. Okay. So I found the value of x, but that's not what it's asking me. It's asking for SQR. So I need to do 6 times x, which is 24, minus 25. So what is 6 times 20? Oh, y'all can't see that. I need to zoom out more. So that is 119 degrees. the measure of angle SQR. Guys, can you check yourself and make sure that X is actually 24? Yes, you can also plug 24 in here for X. What's 3 times 24? 72 plus 47? 119. Oh, does that match the other angle? Yes, they should be equal to each other because they are what kind of angles? Vertical angles. Okay? Okay, if line AB is perpendicular to ray CD. So I'm going to draw a perpendicular box right there. Okay, DCE is 7x plus 2. And then ECB is x plus 8.
So 8x plus 10 is equal to 90.
So I'm going to add these two angles together and set it equal to 90 because it is a right angle. If this is a right angle, this has to be a right angle because this makes a line. Okay? So I have 7x plus 2 plus x plus 8 equals 90. So then I have 7x and x is 8x, 2 and 8 is 10, equals 90. So subtract your 10, and we get 8x equals 80, then divide by 8, and we get x equals 10. Again, is it asking for x?
It's asking for DCE.
DCE, well DCE is right there, so 7 times x, which is 10, plus 2 is 72 degrees. So that is the measure of angle DCE. Again, can you check yourself? Plug 10 into this one for x. What's 10 plus 8? 18. 18 plus 72? 90. We get our 90-degree angle, our right angle. Good? Can y'all try number 12 on your own? Yes, do number 12 on your own. Number 12 on your own, guys. Did you finish? Do it really quick. After him. We're going to do the back. Maybe not all of the back. I'm going to actually look and decide which one I want to do right now. We're going to do only 5 more after this, and then we'll be done. Okay, let's look. Label what you are given. Angle KNM is 8x minus 5. Angle MNJ. MNJ is 4x minus 19. So those two angles are called a what? They're supplementary. What's a more specific word? Linear pair. Okay, so what can I do with those two angles? Add them and set it equal to 180. Okay, so 4x minus 19 plus 8x minus 5 equals 180. Combine your like terms. 4x plus 8x is 12x. Negative 19 minus 5 is negative 24 equals 180. Then I'm going to add my 24. And I get 12x equals 204. And then divide by 12. And we get x equals 17. We all get it as 17? Okay, then it says find angle KNM. So that's my 8x, which is 17, minus 5. 8 times 17 minus 5 is 131 degrees. So that is your measure of angle KNM. Again, can you check yourself? Yep. Plug 17 in for x. 4 times 17 minus 19 is 49. 49 plus 131 gives you 180. It makes a line, so we're right. How are we feeling, guys? Really? Okay. We're going to skip to number 16. Okay, it says angle 1 and angle 2 form a linear pair, meaning you add them together and it's 180. Okay, the measure of angle 2 is 6 more than twice the measure of angle 1. Okay, so I'm going to over to the side put the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2. Doesn't give me a picture, so I'm going to write what they are. Says the measure of angle 2 is 6 more than twice the measure of angle 1. Do I know the measure of angle 1? No, so what do we use when we don't know something? X. The measure of angle 1 is just x. Okay? Now the measure of angle 2 is 6 more than twice the measure of angle 1. So how would I write that? 2x plus 6. Twice angle 1, which is x, and then 6 more than that. Are we okay with how I wrote my two angles? Again, they're a linear pair, meaning their sum is 180. So what am I going to do? But we're not equaling them to each other.
Add them over to equal.
Add and set it equal to 180. So I get 3x plus 6 equals 180. 3x is 174. So I get x is 58. Now it's asking for measure of angle 2. So I need to do 2 times 58 plus 6. And what do we get? So the measure of angle 2 is 122 degrees. If I add these two together, what do I get, guys? 180, because they're a linear pair. Good? Okay, 17. J and K are complementary. What does complementary mean? So they are 90 degrees. That's the sum of their angles. The measure of angle J is 18 less than the measure of angle K. So it doesn't actually tell me the measure of angle K and the measure of angle J. So I need to write it out. So it tells me J is 18 less than the measure of K. Do I know the measure of K? No, so we're going to label the measure of angle K as X degrees. Okay, J is 18 less than K. X minus 18. Remember, less than's a turnaround phrase, guys. You cannot write 18 minus X. Okay? So if they're complementary, what am I going to do? 180? 90, because complements are always right. So add your two angles and set it equal to 90. So then I get 2x minus 18 equals 90. Add 18, and I get 2x equals 108. Divide by 2, and I get x equals 54. So the measure, this time it asks find each angle. So the measure of angle K is 54 degrees. Because K is just x. X is 54. The measure of angle J is 54 minus 18. So 36 degrees. If I add these two together, guys, what do we get? 90. Should we get 90? Yep, because they're complementary. Good? Okay.
Couldn't you just do 90 minus 18 and then divide that by 2?
90 minus 18?
Yeah.
No, you got to do 90 plus 18 and divide by 2.
Oh, yeah.
Which is what we did. 90 plus 18, divide by 2. We just actually wrote it out. Guys, show your work. I cannot stress this enough to you on your test. Show your work. If I cannot see where you made a silly math error, which most of the time we understand how to do the geometry and we make a silly math error. If I cannot see your mistake on your test, I cannot give you any partial credit. It's just wrong. Okay, so show your work so I can help you a little. Okay, let's go to 18. Ray UW bisects angle TUV. Angle TUW is 13x minus 5. Angle WUV is 7x plus 31. Okay, if it says it's bisected, what does that mean? These are congruent, meaning they are equal to each other. Set them equal to each other. 13x minus 5 equals 7x plus 31. I always move my variables to the left, so I'm going to subtract my 7x. And I move my constants to the right, so I'm going to add 5. So I get 6x equals 36. So I get x is 6. Which, find the value of x, that's what it asked. There's my answer. Can you check and make sure x is 6? Yes, okay, what's 13 times 6? Minus 5? Okay, so this angle is 73. What's 7 times 6? Plus 31. 42 plus 31. Did we get 73 for both of them? Yeah, they're equal. Okay, so that's how you can check and make sure your value of x is correct. Good? Okay, next. Ray MO bisects angle PMN. So draw your little congruent pieces in your angles. Those two angles are congruent. The measure of angle PMN, so the whole angle, is 74 degrees. So let's just stop there. If the whole angle is 74 degrees, and the angle is cut into two congruent pieces, how can I figure out what each of the angles is? Just divide by 2. What's 74 divided by 2? So each of these is 37 degrees. Okay? The measure of OMN, so this whole angle, is 2x plus 7. Okay, does anybody have an idea of what we can do?
2x plus 7 plus 37 is equal to 180.
Okay, so if I just add the 37, is this 180 degrees? What do we need to add the 2x plus 7 to?
Plus 7 plus 74 is equal to 180.
There we go. This makes the straight line, so the 2x plus 7 plus 74 equals 180. Add your like terms, so we get 81. I did something way wrong, didn't I? What did we do wrong, guys? Gotta pay attention to your letters. Yes, ma'am.
You did the line wrong. It's like not supposed to go over.
Yeah, I did the wrong line. It's O-M-N. So that angle right there is your 2x plus 7. Sorry. Guys, I will tell you, I make silly mistakes sometimes too, especially when I'm working too fast. So if you catch a mistake, tell me. Okay? So 2x plus 7 is this angle right here. What do we say that's equal to? 37. Solve for x. Minus 7. And we get 2x equals 30. So x is 15. Is that what it's asking us for?
Yeah.
Yep. We good? Are we okay stopping there? Or do we want to do the last one? Nope. Okay. Very good. Huh? If you want to do the